Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Wesley the Writer. I'm Wesley, and this week I'm going to talk about writing and the process of writing. We're going to go through a couple of explanations as to how to start a project, how to get the whole project written out, and how to then go back and do your edits so that you can have a final draft that's finished and finalized without spending forever on it. So, with that in mind, let's get into the topics. I thank you again for listening, and okay, let's get started. All right, so I want to preface this week off by saying that everybody has their own version of how they go about being a writer, how they go about their own writing, soiree, whatever. People have their own ways of doing the thing. And so I'm not here to let you know that this is the definitive end all be all, oh, this is the only way that true art is created kind of mindset. No, I'm not doing that. Instead, like the entirety of my podcast, I'm just sharing with you how I feel you could go about the process and how it works for me. So again, don't let this be a hindrance to you, or like if you have something that's working for you, do your thing. Don't let it. Don't let this be like some type of, oh my god, he's calling me out. No, this is just to help out if you say get stuck or whatever else. So let's get into it. All right. So when starting a project, we're really looking to get into our heads like, all right, we know we got excited about a thing. We really think that it's a possibility for this to work out a certain type of way. So we're just gonna go straight through it um, and beginning the project, we're going to write out everything that's in our head, like everything, colors, sounds, music, ideas, whatever. Because again, you see it in your head like play out like a movie almost, and like what you would love to have for it and where you would like to see the project go, and it's cool. That's really cool, but you don't want to get lost on the other minute details, such as trying to figure out the plot and all this other stuff. So right now, what you're primarily focused on in the beginning of this is just letting your mind wander within limits. You're looking to put all of the exciting bits onto paper in your head. Maybe you thought about a cool action scene or something. Write it out, write it down. You don't need character names. Just put like this dude and that chick, and you know so they kicked each other over a dragon's back or something. Something like that. And then from there, you just move on to uh, putting all of that stuff together. Maybe you want to build a mood board, and maybe you want to maybe you want to look online and save a playlist on like YouTube or something for like the type of music you want to listen to and all of that. But again, the goal here isn't to put your best foot forward. It's to get your idea out of your head. Once you get your idea out of your head, then you can easily manipulate it. A key principle that I learned in a class I took a while back was that when you have something physical and tangible in your hand, you're better. It's better than having nothing in your hand. You can easily manipulate something in your hand when you touch it, and that's on a human perspective, that makes sense because that's how we interact with our world, through a physical means. We touch and hear and see and whatever else we can do. We do that so that we can interact with what it is we're trying to either change or what we're trying to manipulate. And so that's why we go about those methods. That's why we write everything down. We create our board so that we can see it being built. Don't worry about the specifics. Just continue to write out everything that's in your head. Because then the next step that you want to focus all of that energy into is outlining. Now, what do I mean by outlining? We're talking about building up a system of story beats. We're talking about putting, events as they play out in your mind out onto a canvas of time. So, chronological events happening in your story take place at certain parts, and certain story beats fit within those certain time frames. The most common and the most overused outlining method, which still is proven to be effective today, is the 3 act, 4 act structure, where you have events play out over 4 acts or so, 3 or 4 acts, and you have your beginning, your climax, your all of that stuff, your resolutions and all that. So when you have all of that set up, you can start to put like how you would like to see those events play out chronologically. You'll start to see that you start to see your story take shape once you start listing things. And a good a good way to do that too, and a lot of people have flocked to his method of doing story building and storytelling, was Dan Harmon's story circle, which follows the 3 act, 4 act structure, but it puts the events of your story into 8 categories, um, and you're basically able to write out the list of, like, okay, my character, this is my character, but they want something. They enter a unfamiliar situation. They adapt to it. They get what they want, but they have to pay a heavy price. They return to a familiar situation, but they're changed, and that allows people to put their character. That can work scene by scene. That can work by just basic character development as a basic character development strategy. But that helps out with building up your story. You can use that in a means to help you get to where you want to be at a faster pace. Now, it does require that you do put forth effort in order to like build up your character list and build up like your scenery and like what's the theme of your story and all of that. But once you do that, and once you're able to see that taking shape, you can better move on to the next step, which is of course drafting a rough draft. And that's really what you're after when you're beginning a project. Whenever you're starting the project, if you're able to reach your drafting phase, well, that's cool, because now you can start speeding out whatever it is that you got. Get that project out there, get it finished, and then you'll see that all it took was just a little bit of world building on your part, and the rest of the story basically just wrote itself. There's a common misconception about perfection and time management and all that stuff, where someone's doing a project, they make it seem like they're doing this project for a long time and all that. That's only because you're focused on trying to change events that should not be as as touched on, or rather, you didn't spend enough time on your outlining and your story development at the start of your project than anything. Like, if you're looking to get a book finished, right? Well, if you just write out your draft, then you can just ship that off to a proofreader and then get that edited, and then boom, you're good to go. Don't waste time on trying to be perfect with your story, because you can try to fix your events and stuff, like, if that's the case, but again, the goal isn't really to spend forever trying to build a project. It's so that you can get the thing done, so that you have something at the end of the day. Stop trying to just be like, oh, no, I have this, I'm right, I'm working on this project, but how long you been working on your book, bro? Like, has it been, what, a few months? Has it been a year? It takes time to build something like that, like a large narrative. But if you're not outlining before you're jumping into your drafting, well, then you're just going to continue to keep drafting and drafting and drafting and editing and drafting and drafting. because you don't have a solid basis as to where you want to go with your story. You're just writing, and you don't want that. That's just wasted time and effort for nothing. In conclusion, definitely start at the beginning. And the beginning of the process is that it's just starting out with the passion that you have to tell a story and to get the thing out on paper. It's to start feeling the story. It's to start, throwing your emotions at the page, or throw your emotions onto, like, on Pinterest. Like, I have a bunch of Pinterest saves, and that's just because, all the stories that I come up with, I like to look at art on Pinterest and save them to boards, and basically build aesthetic so that I can visually see it, like if it's a movie. Then I have my YouTube playlist where I like listening to music on YouTube. I'll save playlists for my stories up there. So, like, while I'm looking at the pictures, I'm listening to the music. I'm getting a feel for the scenes. I'm getting a feel for the character interactions and development. And then I'm jumping right into outlining. I'm outlining it through the story circle. I'm outlining it through the 4-act structure. And by the time, like, a whole day has gone by, I have the basis of a first draft. And the only thing I gotta do is just draft up my first draft, and that's it. Like, I'm ready to go on into editing. So I'll leave you with that. Don't spend forever on your projects. Get the things written. Stop pretending like everything has to be perfect, and start doing what you say you're gonna do. Be a writer. Just get out here and write, man. All right, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Later.